Hi, welcome to Wetpixel Live. My name's Adam Hanlon, I'm the editor of Wetpixel, and I'd like to introduce you to Ken and Kimber Kiefer, all the way from Houston in the States. Hi guys.
Hi.
Hey,
It's lovely to see you. It's busy times, isn't it? So thank you for taking the time to have a chat.
Thanks for having us.
For those of you that aren't aware, Ken and Kimber are a really dynamic pair of photographers who catch a stunning, particularly, well, perhaps what they're best known for, rightly or wrongly, is their stunning modelling shots, both in the pool and in more exotic locations. They very kindly agreed to come and talk about some of the stuff that they do when they're setting up a shoot and how they do it. So, as is traditional on Wetpixel Live, I thought I'd start off by asking them, basically, well, how do you set up a shoot? You know, what do you do? Or maybe perhaps how did you start? Maybe that's a better question. I'm changing my mind now. So how did you start? How did you get into doing this, guys?
Well, I'll start. I got certified to dive when I was 16 and immediately fell in love with it. Went on a dive trip. Of course, I was 16, so it was an expensive hobby. I really only got to do it one trip, and then met him years later, and he's like, "I'm certified," and we started going on trips. I went through Dive Master, and it all started from there with loving the water and doing this stuff together. A little bit about him.
I personally, I went all the way through PADI instructor because I loved everything about being underwater.
Yeah.
Then I found out I don't have the patience to be an instructor. I'm a horrible instructor. No one should ever listen to me. But I still love being underwater. And I got into the photography aspect because I wanted to show more people, family, friends, everyone, what I was seeing, what they were missing. And I started doing with a point and shoot. I started doing with a little, I've got it behind me, but a little yellow 110 film camera.
Yeah.
Video, anything I could just to get the images to them.
Yeah.
And I fell in love. I became addicted. I just wanted to practice, get better, and do more. And worked all my way up through film. I've still got most of those film cameras. But the minute the digital hit, I could see how much easier it is to learn, how much instant learning versus waiting for the 1 hour processing and in a different country. And so it was a big revelation, and it was able to fast forward a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And as far as how we got into modeling, we were diving every animal we could, everything we could, but we don't live near beautiful Caribbean waters, or actually any salt water that's worth seeing.
We do have a lot of water, it's just not there.
Right.
Yeah.
So to practice in between, you don't want to fly to an exotic location and spend 2 days getting back up to speed on what you're doing and angles and such. So we just started playing around in the pool, and Kimber was horrible. She looked super tense. She looked like she was drowning. Her neck muscles were straining. I was just checking my equipment and working on lighting and stuff like that, so I wasn't that concerned. But she took it as a challenge. And she has, I mean, if you could see the before and you can see the after, it's tremendous improvement.
So, Kimber, am I right in thinking you have a background as a model as well? Is that right? Am I right in thinking that?
Yeah, I was in the fitness stuff, so
right.
I was eating healthy, and I would set it as a goal to do photo shoots with photographers on the land. And that was very helpful. That helped boost my confidence.
Sure.
I understood. I learned posing, facial expressions, all different kinds of cues, tips, things that you can help make better facial. And all that goes really well underwater.
Of course, yeah.
Useful. So
yeah.
I never found myself as artistic or creative. But it's like when you fall in love with something, it just sparks an interest, and you want to do better and be better, even despite all the challenges.
And do you find, Kimber, the fact that you're very good behind the camera as well, on the other side of the camera, do you find that it helps you to envisage when you're modelling, or is it a hindrance? It could go either way, I guess.
No, I think it's helpful because I understand what he's going through, how he's trying to manage his gear. lighting, angles that he's shooting, what works well, where you
Yep.
want to position yourself with the animals.
Yep.
I think it's very helpful, and me even doing the modeling, and then if we help a client, I've been through it, so I know what they're experiencing. I feel like when you know what the other person's experiencing,
Yep.
it helps you tremendously.
She's invaluable in that aspect because I couldn't get other models clients to do the things they do without her demonstrating, and she's been through and she knows the pain or whatever that they're going through and what our goal is, and so she's able to translate that.
Yeah, there's nothing like experience, is there? It's the best way. Yeah, that's a really interesting the way you guys work together as a combination, as a team, to achieve that. So let's assume you're planning a shoot, and I guess how this will vary depending on where the shoot is. But let's say you're planning a shoot. What sort of steps do you do? What do you do in order to get prepared for a shoot? Well, maybe bigger question: how do you plan for a shoot? What do you do?
Yeah. Well, I think first of all is like he said, practice. The pool is like a great place to start. You
Right.
have a controlled environment. You have control of everything that's around you. Like he said, it's easy to get in and out. It's easy to communicate.
Yep.
It's a good place to start. But what do you have anything to say?
Yeah. I was going to say the same thing. We can start with the pool shoot. If it's my own pool, I'm able to drop the chlorine to nothing, set the pH at a perfect level so that it's good on their eyes.
Yep.
Anytime there's less chlorine and the proper pH, it doesn't hurt your sinuses as much, it doesn't hurt your eyes. I can spend, days or a week, whatever I need to get the chemicals perfect, get every tiny bit of debris, dust, bugs out of the pool. Then we can wait for the time of day where the light is how we want it. Do we want the sun straight overhead? Do we want something coming from the side or total shadow?
Yep.
And it's easier to do that. As far as coming up with ideas, sometimes Kimber will say, she saw some roller skates, and she said, I want to build a shoot around these skates. So she searches, and she finds the outfit she wants. She thinks about poses. I think about what lighting I would like to try to pop.
Very cool.
Neon colors and stuff. And so we go from there, and then we start, once we locate do we want a backdrop? Backdrops are easy in a pool. You cannot do them in the ocean.
Yep.
And so we decide, and we're restricted in our pool. It's only 4 foot deep. We made it for a volleyball pool strictly. Is why we initially built it.
So it's challenging.
Yeah.
But it's made us work. You have to work around with whatever the obstacles are in front of you.
Well, you work what you got, which is yeah, absolutely. So let's expand that a little bit. So now, if you're going somewhere else to do a shoot, you guys shoot globally. So what sort of things do you factor in to kind of make that work then?
Well, the first thing is getting everything there and deciding what to take there. Which lenses am I going to want to use? What outfits? And when she's doing the outfits, it's a nightmare for me because she comes in for days and days. This one or this one? This one or this one? You're restricted by weight and space. And so you have to narrow down. You have to picture what the background's going to be. Is something going to, let's say we're shooting on a shipwreck with sharks. Is something going to snag on part of the shipwreck? So the shark's going to be attracted to a color or a movement.
Yep.
And you have to factor that in, combined with, man, we've done a whole bunch of red. Maybe we should do some yellow or purple or something like that. Or how it fits, how it flows, where can you hide the weights? That's a big factor. Because, as everyone knows, if you're going to be on the bottom of the ocean, you're going to have weights on. And so how can we hide the weights? We had to, you get with people, you try to embed stuff and to try to hide the weights and to make it look good.
Yeah, I think that's a big thing too. When you're in the ocean and you're with apex predators, animals, the material, what you're wearing, I need to be able to control my body. Like some of those dresses will drown your legs. So you need to make sure you have something that's split, that you can move, maneuver. And like he said, the weights. Freshwater, you don't need weights as much. If you know your buoyancy, you use your air in your lungs, things like that. But with saltwater currents, animals, you have to have complete control of your body. So there is always a weight belt in the ocean.
Those iconic pictures of yours from the Bahamas, for example. I assume that's with the wreck and with you with the sharks, Kimber. They're stunning pictures, but I have no idea how you would even choose a particular outfit to do that? I mean, obviously you've mentioned things like floating. So do you go online and find an outfit that you think would work, or how, I mean, Ken's mentioned that you try a lot of stuff on and ask for his advice, but how else does it work?
We have a huge barn garage, so the whole upstairs is storage. We put 2 racks all the way along complete. They're full of clothing. Resale shops,
she'll go to stores when they have a sale, like 75% off, and she'll buy prom dresses or ball gowns or something. And then keep it in mind for when something's coming up.
I mean, I specifically buy things that I know neutral tones. Tones matter, the vibe of where you're going. And sometimes when we go, I don't know exactly where I'm going to get the opportunity to shoot. Sometimes things just pop up, like that wreck. And we were there shooting somebody else. I watched them for 3 days and how they did it and learned. And she asked me if I wanted to do it. I was hoping I would get to. I brought stuff for it, but it was just they had to give me the opportunity, and I got it. And I just bring things that I think could possibly look good. I mean, you need to pick the right colors. Like, we're very particular. Like he said, he spends days getting the pool ready to shoot. Yep. He wants it clear. He wants the chemicals. I mean, a model's first thing to go out is probably her eyes because it burns. I mean, the salt water burns, but actually the pool chemicals burn first. Right. But every time, it all hurts. It's burning. It's burning your sinuses. It's burning your eyes. There's a lot going on I think the number one thing is you just have to stay relaxed. But so cenotes, I try to bring like neutral tones. I kind of know it's going to be darker backgrounds. And if I'm in the ocean, I want things that aren't going to attract the animals. Like when we did the crocodiles, I asked, like, is anything trigger the animals that you know of? Safety is always number one, and things have to come together to do those remote shoots.
So you mentioned, asking people about whether a particular color or something will trigger a behavior from some of your subjects. Who do you ask that to? I mean, do you have relationships with local operators, or how does that work then?
The most high level expert that we can find, and we don't we don't do any animals for the first time modeling. We make sure that we do every safety briefing. We ask every question we can. We spend a lot of time observing
with masks
and getting our own and getting our own observations on top of the expert, so that we're familiar with things that they do, things that they don't, things that they that you aren't sure of before we try to attempt. And like we've dealt with sharks for over 20 years. We're almost every type of shark that we can in our areas. And I would like to say something about the shark shoot in the Bahamas that you're talking about.
Yeah.
The Kimber had never modeled in the ocean ever before that time. She had done only pool stuff, just off getting a breath, going underwater, doing some stuff coming up. So she knew we were going there to shoot our friend, and they had a project which still hasn't been released, by the way. We're still working on avenues to get it out. They don't just want it in a scuba magazine. It was a really nice shoot and some great images that I wish I could show, and I still haven't shown any of them.
Well, we look forward to them.
They're all hiding. But so to do that, we just went. I work at a pool that has an 11-foot depth, and we don't shoot there very often because it's got the lane lines and the stripes on the bottom, and it's just not. It's not a beautiful location. Yeah. But we took a scuba tank, sat on the bottom of the pool, and she would take a breath, and we went over signals on how we were going to do this, and she would take a breath. I would take the regulator. She took her mask off. I would hold her mask. She would see how long she could go, and then she could compose her face. And we went through that for hours and hours, days and days. And then, so she was prepared in case we had the opportunity in the Bahamas. And we did. We only had 25 minutes. We had finished everything that we were trying to shoot. And they said, hey, we've got one more tank each. We've still got some bottom time left, deco. That's another thing. You have to adhere to all the scuba rules. You have to adhere to all the safety rules and fit everything within those parameters. You can't nothing magically changes because you're doing a different kind of shoot.
Of course.
So we had opportunity, and so we just let's go for it. We went down, and so the first time we went over everything with the safety team. We had an incredible safety team, shark wranglers, great safety divers. And the first time that Liz took the regulator and the mask from Kimber, I was this close to her, and I went click, click, and I was ready to grab her. I was ready to give her my reg. I didn't know. And we were at 55, 60 feet, she didn't look. I sent you the video. She didn't look like she was underwater at all. I was
No.
just amazed. So I was learning on the go too, because I'd never really done this with her. And
I surprised myself.
Good. It's one of my favorite.
You never know how you're going to react. You know, I wanted to stay calm, and you know, I watched Liz and somebody else do this for 3 days. Like, I assisted. I really watched how they were doing it. Like he said, I got on the bottom of the pool. I wanted to see how that felt. I wanted to know what it felt like, and then the night before, I was nervous. I get nervous, and you should get nervous. But it's all about staying relaxed. I mean, I think that's the number one thing when you're underwater. And of course diving too. It's just being relaxed. You know, not panicking yourself. And the night before, I was like, I can't. I mean, those two can hold their breath like 4 or 5 minutes. I have not officially freediving trained. I would like to do that. I think it helps you understand what's going on. And I think I could improve my breath hold, but that's the number one question people like to ask is how long you can hold your breath, and it's truly not a factor. You know, you're not supposed to be holding your breath for long periods of time. All you need to do is get some good shots, get your breath back, see what's going on, communicate. You don't need to hold your breath a long time for any of it.
But I guess this probably circles back round because you guys have emphasised how much sort of basically what we could describe as training you do for this. You know, you go in the pool and you practice stuff and you spend a lot of time doing stuff, which means when you're in the wild, when you're on location somewhere, you can get in, get the shots, and get out pretty quickly. You know, I think...
Yeah, everything we do is pretty time constrained, not hours under there getting what we need to get.
If we were millionaires, then maybe we could spend more time. Sometimes it's just, hey,
one shot, 30 minutes, that's it.
Our first cenote shoot was, we were heading to Crocs. There was a huge, I don't remember if it was a hurricane or something that blocked the road and flooded the road. We couldn't go down to the Crocs when we could. So they're like, hey, let's go to cenotes. And I'm scared of back in the caves. I mean, I'll do some, but it's not, I don't like it. Yeah, and so I said, hey, we're going to stay out at the entrance of the cenote and mess around. And I actually, like, some of those images won a contest or something, but it was just spur of the moment, just like grab something and let's give it a shot.
Yeah.
That's why I take dresses everywhere, because you don't know if you're going to get that opportunity, and you'll be so sad if you don't.
But
the other one thing you said, and I did practice in the pool for that shoot, but that's a calm, controlled pool. So even practicing like that, and then getting in the wild with the currents, and it's cold. I mean, the cold really makes you not hold your breath as long. It makes you a little more nervous. It's all like, some of it's mental, like freediving. You want it bad enough, you relax and do it.
Yeah, I think again, it wasn't so much. I appreciate it's very different, but actually the skills that you have working together as a team, I think that probably it must be part of it. You know, it must be really powerful that you can get in and get the job done, and not worry about that side of things, and then obviously you got to layer all the other stuff on top. Yeah, the cold, and so it must be. It's a fascinating process. It's really good to speak to you guys because you are so good at it. You know, it's.
I do want to touch base about us working together a lot, because that is a huge factor. Trust is there, knowledge of how he works, and he knows how I work. Yep. And I know he puts my safety number one, and I know he's very comfortable around sharks, animals, and any behavior they have. So I know that I can trust him.
Yeah.
That he will put his camera down and make sure I'm safe first. So I can focus a little bit more into the things I need to do.
Yeah.
I've got some stories about cenotes in the cold. I've seen people that will be shooting models and they're wearing a dry suit and the model's butt naked or something. And I wear what the model's wearing, because then I know what they're going through. And if I can't take it anymore, I can't expect them to take it anymore.
I have to say, Ken, I can't imagine you in a dress.
No. Well, you should see it sometime.
or maybe not. Yeah, but yeah, I think that's a very interesting point. I'm sorry, I'm making light of it. That's a very interesting point because. I mean, you do so often see this. You'll see situations where people are, wearing a lot of exposure protection or whatever, and they're working with people who are wearing very little. And I mean, that's yeah. I watched another friend of mine did a shoot in under the ice, and she was wearing a wedding dress as it happens. And the guys were all dry suits, dry gloves, hoods, and everything. And there she is in a wedding dress. And I mean, hats off to her. She did it. But I mean, wow, that's a really challenging shoot. I mean,
for sure,
it's not something I'd do. Yeah.
Haven't done
Kimber, one of the first times when the snow tastes, I heard a weird sound, and so I'm thinking there's an animal or something. And I'm looking around trying to figure out what could make that sound. Kimber's something in her diaphragm was involuntarily spasming from the cold.
Yeah.
And so she was, and I'm like, you're really not very natural looking right now. She was just like everything
it was cold.
Frozen,
I was nervous. I'd never done that. And when you take your mask off underwater and everything's dark and it's kind of scary. And they have some crocodiles in those cenotes.
Yeah.
You can't really see. And again, it's just mentally relaxing and allowing yourself to relax. I mean, taking your mask off changes how long you can hold your breath. I mean, you can see blur, so I can see the animal movement, but nothing's crystal clear. Like some people, I think, don't understand that if they haven't done that, because I've had other models or people that are interested, and they're like, well, I wear glasses so I can't see. Well, even with clear eyes, you can't see. Like everything is blurred.
Yeah. No, you're not going to see a lot underwater. That's been a really fascinating chat, guys. We're gonna do a couple more chats if that's all right in a minute. But I'll bring this one to a close for the moment. So thank you both so much. It's lovely to chat with you. I'd like to thank our sponsor as well for this episode, which is going to be Icolite Underwater. So we thank them very much. I'd like to thank you all for watching, and please feel free to add any comments and add a like if you enjoyed this video. Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing you again soon.